Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Hacking on Samui Wallet for Solana Cypherpunk Hackathon. Let me get this ready and let me dive right in. I'm sharing the links on socials and I'm sharing it here on Discord. 1 second, please. And then we're ready to dive right in. So, yesterday I said that we might not have a show, but here we are, doing another live coding session. Now, today I've been mostly working on my presentation, on my slides, and I guess maybe tomorrow I'll share a bit of these things in the live stream. But for today, we're just going to look at code. Now, what I wanted to do is look at the onboarding branch that I have open. However, since I last synchronized my branch with the main branch, there have been 110 new commits coming in. This is pretty bullish by itself, but it also means that this won't be a clean refactor. So in order to salvage the work that has been done there, I'll need to go in and actually cherry pick a bunch of files. I typically just go into the GitHub web UI, look at these files, copy them over, and reintegrate these things into the app. But before that, I actually thought of something else. I was looking at some of the navigation options in ChatCN, as I'm not particularly happy with these navigation things. And why am I not happy? Well, this one and this one, they actually kind of belong together. They belong to each other. So if you go here, you can select Alice. And if you go here, you can select Bob. Sure. But if you go and derive multiple wallets, let's derive the next one. So now account 2 has 2 wallets. And let's do the same with account 1. So we're going to go back to account 1 here, derive second one. Now both of these things have 2 wallets, and there's no way for me to go to the second wallet of account 1 without doing a couple of clicks. So I have to do 1 click, 2 click, 3 click, 4 click. It would be way better if I could do 1 click, navigate to the thing, and then the second click actually ticks that box. Now, for that, you need like nested menus. So one of the options would be nice if this had like a fold out where I could have like a sub menu. Now, I don't think that is something that ChatCN UI supports. We can take a brief look, but I'm fairly sure that it's not there. But I found this menu bar. And this menu bar is very much like your operating system menu bar, right? So we all know this from any operating system, at least most operating systems that I've worked with. And this is actually pretty cool because I figured this can be, for instance, take a look at the share one. This can be the accounts. So instead of file, we have the active account, very much like we have today. So this could read account 1, or maybe A1 as the indicator, and this little wallet address as the title. We'll see. And then going down here, you could do like a submenu where you actually see all of these wallets, all the other accounts. You can directly click both. And that should give us the system where you do 1, 2, and you're there. Now, is this a big deal for the hackathon? Not really. Is this something I like hacking on a Saturday night? Most definitely. So the beauty of building such a thing is that you can basically do whatever you please. And let's see if we can get something working here. So we have this dev section in our application, and that's enabled here going to settings, and you can enable the dev mode, and then this little icon there pops up next to the cluster selector. Oh, and by the way, if we do this navigation bar, then I reckon also cluster selection will be there, and also like the developer section will just get its proper icon. So then we'll just move all of this navigation to the right hand side. What is it? Left hand side, and do it that way. So I'm just going to copy this menu and see first of all if it renders. So dev feature menu. We got to get rid of these imports here. Or actually, it's workspace/UI/components and getting rid of this UI. So that's kind of the mono repo, how we got this thing set up. And then we're just going to render the menu bar demo right here in this thing. Right, so nothing too fancy here. And then if we go back to the DevNet, to the dev section, to the UI, we should see after it re-renders that we have this cute little menu. Now, this by itself is not a biggie. This is supposed to work this way. And let's see what it would look like to dynamically generate this thing. So instead of files, we want to have like accounts here. And if I close that thing down here, we'll have clusters. Sure. And then this could be development. And I'm going to close that one as well. And this is profiles. Actually, I'm going to call this one clusters, and I'll show you why in a second. So we get rid of the second option here, edit, because the edit option, it has this submenu, but it's very much the same as this one. Whereas clusters, the thing that I renamed clusters, has this checkbox feature. Now, in our case, a cluster, there only is ever one selected cluster. So we kind of need this checkbox thing. So let's actually start with the cluster selector and then do the account selection, because that's kind of a more complex thing to work with. Now, one of the things I'm interested about in working with this, I'm actually interested to see if we can just cut these things up. So each of these items will be its own component. And then I can use these ones, and that way kind of like separate these things out. So I think that's just how it works. This is just plain React. Nothing should be too fancy here. And this seems to work as expected. So I have this clusters demo. And just to make this thing quick and easy, I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to load these things up in this demo right here and then pass them in. So we need fetch our clusters. And the active one and the set active function. So we can actually just go look at our cluster dropdown, how we implemented it right now. And that's actually this UI component. We can go to the feature, and here we see a bunch of things that we need. So this by itself, the fact that I'm reusing it now kind of merits like, okay, this should probably be a custom hook. Not something I'm going to worry about right now. So much more interesting stuff to work on. So I'm going to say clusters is item and active is active and set active equals, oh, no comma here, set active equals set active. Amazing, set active ID. I'm happy with that. And this one is an active cluster, sure. And then we'll let Gemini, I guess, is what I'm running here, do its work. Get rid of these things. And then, of course, we need to import these clusters from our database. Let's ESLint do its thing. And then we have a, its own separate thing. We receive the data coming in here, and we have a list of clusters to iterate over. We can see if it's the active one, and we can run the set active one. So now we also have the settings UI cluster, or the cluster UI item. We do not. Okay, not an issue. So we can just say active name or select cluster. Now this one is already called DevNet, and that's what I like here. So that's great. I can actually give our Lucid, however you pronounce it, Lucid network icon in here and see if that renders as expected. Let's do a class name of size 6 or 4, type 4. I say 4, I type 2. And for now, just do a little bit of margin on the right. So here we have DevNet. Then the radio active group, this is actually active.ide or an empty string if there's no active ones. And then here, we should just loop over clusters Sorting it, sure. But eventually just map it, take one individual cluster, and then return a radio item with cluster name and cluster group. And now if I select here, I made myself a cluster selector with all of these clusters. So that means we can get rid of all of these other ones. Well, let's not get rid of all of the other ones, especially if I'm breaking the stuff. Let's make this one a S-child, and this is going to be a link from React Router to /settings/clusters. And here we want to say these are the cluster settings. Then the last two can go. And now to top this one off, we want to say on, I guess, on change. And what we want to do here is basically set active ID, set active to cluster.id. And then with that, we should have a cluster selector. Okay, it might not be on change. So let's actually go in here to the API reference, and let's see at the menu bar radio item, if that is a thing, the item as child. Unchecked change. Okay, we need to do it on the radio group then. Unchecked on change. Well, this doesn't really make sense unless I get the item. Set active is item.id. But that's like a div. It's a checkbox item, radio group item on value change. Beautiful. On value change, the value is a string. So this should be the item ID or just ID, and it's set active ID. And then we should be able to get rid of this on change right here. And with that, hopefully we finally have a cluster selector. I think this looks kind of cool. And development here, we only want to show development if the option is there, and then actually inside development, it would be kind of nice to have these options. Now, these things don't live here right now. This is like a tabbed UI, but that's not a big deal to change these things. I can easily change that. So if we say shell, and we have this development link mode, here we have a toggle to say developer mode. So what I can do here is actually take this one, and I guess I can just extract it into a component, which is going to be called menu bar demo development, just like so. And ESLint was resetting it. So we're going to add this use DB preference here. And then we basically want to hide it if it's not set. We only want to show it if it is set. Same thing, different day. Or no. So now we're going to show this development thing. And then if we go look at the developer section where we actually are right now, so let's localize this file, get to the routes. These are the things that I want to show. So menu bar development, I can actually pass in the items here. And items is an array of 2, I guess, and label. And then I need to have items here, and then I can pass in these things. Okay, it's actually path and label. Let's quickly update that in a second. So instead of 2 string, we say path string. This also wants to be a string. And now I have an array of items. So now we can say for all of these, so let's open the development section here. Oh, you're getting annoyed by what I do. Sure, I need to make it an array. So I'll make it an array, add these things in here, formats well. Let's see. Okay, cool. If we open it up, it just stays open. So in the development section, I don't need these things to be in set. I can just rather leave them as they are. like looking at the reload here. We also don't need the shortcuts. We will have the shortcuts. Toby, if you're checking, yes, I agree. We should have keyboard access for a lot of these things. And then link is going to be to path and the label. So this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to iterate over. So let's then go in here and say items.map item and return this thing. And then the key is item label. I'm happy with that. It's as child. And then item.to is item.path, which I suppose should be prefixed with item with /dev. This is item.label. We don't need arrow. We don't need these braces around this. So remove braces around this. And then for now, I'm just going to say /dev in front of all of these, just so I don't have to bother with all of these custom things. Now, what would be kind of nice, this might already be getting into the area of like, yeah, it's not at all important, an active property. Now, from what I've seen in the menu, I don't think there's really this concept of it being active other than having this checkbox in front. So let's not bother with this, but Scratchpad now works. If I go back to UI, this navigation now just works. And then sure enough, if I disable dev mode, so let me actually go in, open this wallet in a new browser. Now, the cool thing of us using IndexedDB here is that these things should apply automatically. So I'm now on my second screen. And if I toggle developer mode, there you go. So this is kind of nice. And what I don't like on this is that developer mode is in the middle because it now jumps around the cluster, but this is easily fixable by just moving cluster to the other side. So now we just have a development mode that I can do. I'm not sure if this is a powerful pattern. I need to check with Toby, obviously, and I also need to check with Steve, which is a UX developer that I highly value. His opinion is great. He has a great taste of style of UX. It's really a 10x UX dev. What I want to do here, instead of accounts, I want accounts to be larger. So we use this avatar, UI avatar, and UI avatar, it's going to be like account 1. Something like this. So if we pop in account 1, this is kind of crampy, right? This is not great. So let's see if I can actually improve this by adding some padding on the y-axis of 2. Now here you see nothing changes here. But if this one has some padding on the y-axis of 2, also nothing changes. As usual, my friend border red. If I say height of like 12, there you go. There you go. So let's do a height of 12 here. May actually wants to be a little bit higher even. Let's run a 16. This may be too bold. So let's say 14. Clearly not going to use a negative number here, right? That would be crazy. And do a space x of 2 or a gap of 2. A gap of 2 works. Interesting. So this one wants to live in its own component as well. So this is menu bar demo accounts. Sure enough, menu bar demo accounts still works as expected. It also makes it so that in network or in cluster, well, actually network should have gotten me there earlier. I can change this one size 4, get rid of this. So this may now be just its own icon. It might be a bit on the large side still, but let me see. Oh, I guess. And then here, a class name of gap2 means that I don't have to do the margin right imperatively. Now these things are similar. Then for consistency's sake, let me go to the development menu, and then I like to use debug because we devs Love some bugs. And now I can get rid of this border, or at least the border color. But there is a little standard border. I don't think this is that bad. I don't think this looks bad at all. Especially if we see what this enables us, right? But I'm very, very curious to hear your thoughts, if you think this is an improvement or not. We do want to do a menu bar separator here, just so that cluster settings here is separated out. That's what a separator does, right? And we may want to do Lucid settings here, Lucide. Well, now it no longer needs an inset. Is this aligned? It seems aligned. I have this one little old school trick that I know from the Windows days. Let me see if it still works. You're just going to hold a piece of UI next to it. I think this is perfectly aligned. Good enough for me. So cluster settings takes us here. We can switch to clusters. We have some development options. I kind of like this. I kind of like where this is going. So how about we build out the accounts section where all of these accounts are the actual accounts. And then inside these accounts, we actually want these wallets. Now this comes back to a different thing that I should fix, where I want to be able to fetch all of the wallets with all of their related accounts. Now, I've been using Prisma quite a lot. If you check my YouTube channel, you'll see there's a bunch of Prisma videos. I'm an OG Prisma user. There, it's as simple as saying include, and you'll get them all. With our DEXI database, not so much. So with our DEXI database, we have to imperatively fetch all of these things and do it all together. So let's see if we can get the database in such a way that it does this. Now, this is actually related to the transactions that I want to add. I just didn't really get to it. So I think what I'm going to do right here is change this, or actually create a re-implementation of this DB account find many with wallets. I'm just going to call it as it is, and we're going to put it in its own file. And inside this one, I'm going to leave the rest of the API the same. But what I'm going to do is start DB transaction. And this is an async function. And inside this async function is where I want to do my stuff. Let me see why this complains. Oh yeah, it complains because I don't have the right syntax. So I need to do a read write. Well, in this case, it's just a read. Then I need to provide in commas all of the tables I want to read from, which in this case accounts and wallets. Then I do my async function. So let's start by that and say this is actually a read. I want db.accounts and db.wallets. And then an asynchronous function, or a lambda, I guess is what it is, and get these things. Now, this should work very much the same. This is functionally, I think, the same thing, though I'm not returning anything. So if I return this transaction, I'm fairly sure that should yield to the same thing. Now, I'm not interested in a account array. I'm interested in a account with wallets, which may be undefined, but we don't care about it for now, array. Now, this may be in parentheses, and wallets must be imported. And I think this is the syntax. Now, what will happen is that ESLint, because we have the perfectionist plugin with short intersection types, it will pop wallets first and then account after. These sorting by line things work very well a lot of the times. Just sometimes you get kind of a quirky output, but for now, this is good. Now TypeScript starts to complain here and says that this return type is not correct because it doesn't find the wallets array on whatever I'm doing. So let's get a quick and dirty fix in here. So we're going to destructure this data here. This is most likely not what I'm going to do definitely, but we'll say, hey, item, and we destructure the item, and we just say wallets is an empty array. And now TypeScript's happy. And if we do db find account many with wallets inside here, and we pass in the db, this actually accounts is, and it's actually the, yeah, it's not the query. This is just a promise. Okay, let's do two more things before we make this a real thing. So I'm going to say export type account with wallets. As usual, I'm not aiming for perfect here. I'm aiming for something that works. And then another day, probably tomorrow, I'll go in and fix it. Why do I want to do this? Well, otherwise I have to type this wallets ampersand, wallets array ampersand account in these parentheses all the time. And I don't want to do this. I just want to be able to talk about accounts with wallets. And that's the way we go. Now, second thing is db wallet options, which is where we define our React query hooks. And we can just take the find many here. And we say find many with wallets. And this thing is find many with wallets as well. And this is find many with wallets, which I now have to import. And because of the db account find many with wallets, this should be it. Okay, I'm in the wrong file. Let me actually back up here. So we're going to do this. We're interested in the db account options. So db account options, this right here, go to find many, copy this thing, and let's start here, db with wallets. Amazing. So this one wants to be here, and this one wants to be called find wallets. Then we go to the place where we use this, which is this hook, and we say find many with wallets. And now we have a hook that we can use. So let me move this thing to its own file. Let ESLint do its thing. Sure. Actually, I'm going to rename this and say find many rename file, just so it's consistent. And we can close this one, that one not yet. This is a reference. And then here, so I'm just going to pick all of these things. Const accounts is, well, accounts query is use db account find many with wallets. Beauty. Now this expects an argument. Let's see why that is. Account input find many. Interesting. Do we have the same one here? It's not being used. That's also interesting because we do have this thing. Appears we don't really use it. But that's something else that we need to figure out. For now, I think an empty object should be good though. An empty object which has an input with an empty object. So then accounts is accounts query.data or an empty array. And now this is accounts with wallets array. Beautiful, beautiful. So we can say accounts equals accounts, and then go back to this one. Get in here, add property accounts, and the other one accounts, and put this one in right here. Now, for all of these accounts, I just want to show the thing with a sub menu. So this is the thing that we're going to be copying. So we're going to say account.map for each account. And I'm going to be returning this one. And this has a key of account.id. Happy with that. And I'm fairly sure I have an account UI item. But where? Let's first do account.name. And then subcontent, this wants to be account.wallets.map for each wallet. And then we're going to return a sub item for each wallet. And this is going to be wallet .name, and this thing needs to be keyed off by wallet.id. Delete all of this stuff, delete all of this stuff. And then I guess we also want to do like a settings on the bottom. So let's just take this one right here, go to accounts. Where is it, buddy? Go to accounts, paste this in, accounts, settings, settings, accounts. So hope you all still follow along. Let me actually check the stream because I haven't. It looks like Sandeep's not here today. Kind of miss you, buddy. Now we have our accounts. We just don't have these related wallets. And this makes sense because we didn't really check these things. Now, another thing I realized is that we don't have the notion of which one is checked. So we do want to have this little indicator. Now, I'm not sure if the menu sub supports being selected. We can check that here because we can see the sub trigger, the sub content. Now, the radio group here is definitely a different thing, where this radio group has a value. And I don't think this sub has a value. It only has like the open property, but that's not what we're after. It has disabled for the trigger. It's also not what we're after. But for now, let's just go with it. We can always like, I guess in fact we don't even need it because we have to highlight one here. So much so we might not even need the indicator right here either. But again, gotta postpone this, gonna ask Steve. And then here I want to say, what is the avatar? Where do we use the avatar? I reckon it's in portfolio. And I reckon it's UI avatar. So UI avatar, we have the count drop down. Okay, we just active name. So let's see here in the feature, we also want to use these same things, use active accounts. So in the menu, gonna build it all up right here. So we're gonna do active accounts and set active. So we're gonna say same as here is active accounts. I'm gonna rename that thing, set active account ID. And then here set active equals set active account ID, and the set active ID wants to be called set active cluster ID. Here I need to map the set active to set active account ID. Perfect. Update it here. Do active, which in this case is a account. Set active, which is a callback. So active is an account, not without the wallets, not with the wallets, because we don't care. Right here. Then we're going to say set active is this one. Beauty. Now, this means that we can say, okay, this label is actually account active.name, sure. And this then is active.name. Now here I actually want the active wallet name and not the active wallet name, and I don't want like the active account name, but that's an issue for later on. I'm also going to say if we don't have something active, just render null. So we won't see the menu option if it's not there. And now we actually have this. I like this. I'm going to see if I can drop this icon, the avatar, right in front of the trigger. So this would be account.name. I can. So this can be class name, cap of 2. Would you look at that? Actually, looks like I'm getting somewhere. I like this a lot. Now let's fix our query. And this is fine with many wallets. Now, there's a few ways to go about this, but being in quick and dirty mode, I'm just going to say, okay, you know what? I want the wallets, all of them, and I'm just going to say await db wallet find many. Now this will lead into a rabbit hole because for the db find one, the db wallet find many, we do expect a account ID to be set. So we always require this account ID to be set. This is not what I want. So I'm actually going to be in there. We don't really care about this filtering. We really only want to have these accounts. So I'm just going to do this literally, copy this one over from here. Await that one. Well, I need to do it like so. Await that one, call this one wallets, and I'm going to be all in on happy paddle blindness. So I don't care if there's errors for now. We sort these ones by derivation index, and that's it. Also not going to write any tests. And then in here, this is where we say wallet.filter, and this may be null, sure. So I can just say default to an empty array. And what this should allow us to say, now we have these beautiful things. Would you look at that? I mean, it may be a bit messy because like we have these colors right here. It's very, it's kind of a messy screen in general, but I think like we look at it, that's not really improving, right? I'm making it actually more messy. Doesn't matter. It's Saturday night. Nobody's watching. Check here. And what the set active actually wants to do, I want to set an active wallet. I don't want to set an active account. So this is something that I need to do right here. Sorry. I need to do in the menu. I set active here. I want the set active to be this one. So I want to say on click, I reckon, set active is wallet.id, which means that if I go where we invoke this thing, we set active here. We set active here. This is actually going to come from use active wallet. And this one is then set active wallet ID, because the wallet ID also sets the cluster, the account, I must say. And now 2 clicks allows me to change from one wallet to the other. I think this pattern is fairly decent. Let's fix the last thing where I think this account too should actually read the selected wallet. And that way it should be able to replace these two things into a grouped wallet UI selector. Now this may be null. I'm happy with that because active stuff may not be set. So we can say active may be null. And I'm actually going to call this one active accounts because I also want to have an active wallet. I'm going to call this one active wallet, and then this one is active accounts and wallet. And then what's currently here is active. This sure wants to be active accounts, except the active wallet name. Now also, I'm going to make sure that it also should always have an active wallet. And these things, I can get them from here. Active, do the active wallet right here, and make this active account, and the other one active wallet. And then with these things, I think we have a fairly decent system. I do want to, do I? I was about to say, I do want to do this monospace, but I actually might not want to do this monospace. Now, these things should have this selected. This should be a radio box, right? So let's make this a radio group. So the sub here, this sub content, I'm wondering if I can just create a radio group out of this. I reckon we can just put them right next to each other. So this is account.wallets. I don't care about sorting right now. I just want this to be a wallet. And then this is wallet.id. Sure thing. This is active wallet.id. And set active wallet is the ID that we set here. I feel we're almost there. Let's do a re-render. See if this, yeah, there you go. This is beautiful. This is really, really beautiful, if I may say so myself. I think with this, I kind of fixed an issue that I had. Now, is this perfect? Nope, it's not perfect. Is it better? I think so. Let's go to the portfolio page. Have this thing refresh. Okay, it doesn't want to refresh. Well, you know what? This is probably because I need to run a pnpm install. So I'm going to run a pnpm install, then hit my dev server and kick it again, just to see if that fixes anything. It does. Beauty. Now I'm going to go to my other screen. I'm going to go to the dev page here, UI. I'm going to drag this thing in and just click along a little bit. I can see this work, and I can see this being a nice pattern. Now, as I said a few times before, I'm not sure if this is the permanent state of things where we want it to be. I will need to drag it up there and see, hey, this is great or this is not great. I'm also not sure if we want to have these bottom navigation or only the top navigation. Because if we have this top bar, we might not need all of the other navigation around. After all, this is a wallet focused on builders and power users. So I think we definitely have some space to kind of change the paradigm and see, like kind of experiment and see what we want to do here. So I'm going to drag this one back in just so I can quickly switch between the two views. And then one of the things that I really want to do here is make these ones a bit bigger. I'm actually not going to bother because that's very much details. That's implementation details. And these are typically the things that I would do on the next day, if you will. Now, last thing that I want to see if I can implement fairly quickly is actually click on the menu item. So set active then should be set active wallet. Let's make this set active wallet, and then also want to have set active account. Set active account. Now TypeScript will get mad at us. Well, at me, you're not doing anything. You're just watching. And then set active account. This is set active wallet for set active wallet ID. Sure. And this one is set active accounts for set active account ID. And now the last thing that I need to do is take set active from here and call it set active account ID. Lastly, we need to use the thing. So set active accounts unused. This trigger, does it have an on-click? It has. Why do you want to be async all of a sudden? You don't need to be async. Click here. Click on accounts. It should take Alice. Beautiful. Or if I want to go into depth and actually, so it'll pick the first one. It'll pick Bobby. It'll pick Alice. It'll pick Jazz. Or you want to go in here, pick Alice directly, or the second one. That's actually when you want to use this, is if you want to go to the second one. I kind of like this. And I do see there's some glitch here. This is most likely because of having this active account. It's rendering null, so it removes the wallet. I can probably get rid of this by just defaulting this to an empty string and doing the same here. Now, active wallets and active accounts should not be referenced. Active accounts, nope. That's only here, and active wallets, that's here. Here it's active wallet value ID, but we already handle it, and that's not there. So this may fix the jumping around. I mean, it's still a bit jumpy, but I guess that's not something we can really do anything against. Though one thing may be to basically have a minimal width. Let's see if I can like guess. This must be like 100 px. Sure. Let's see if that makes it less jumpy. It's still jumpy. Gonna get rid of that change because that was definitely not it. Let's see if a border tells me something. You've seen, this is my way of, okay. If I'm at the wrong border, it won't happen anyway. I'll get rid of this one. We're at the demo accounts here. So min width is actually 100 pix. Or let's do it an exaggerated amount of 600. Sure, that does definitely work, and it's definitely too much. So let's say 120, 50, 30, 40. Guessing with Beeman. I actually think 150 is not bad. Gives a bit of space. It definitely makes it less jumpy. Awesome. Okay, then while I'm at it, let's do a bit of detailing. A little bit here. So, adding back my border red 400. And how is the height here of 6? What is it, 14? Well, that's the whole thing. What is 12 to 10? Now, it's very likely that this is going to be slightly off, yes. And I would hate it if it was 11. Like, definitely why. Like, you're not going to use an odd number there. It's just horrifying. Like 12's too big. 12's not too big, amazing. Actually, I can just set 12 on the other as well. And I'm fairly sure I can set it on the other trigger as well. Height 12. And then I may as well give some padding on the x-axis. Hey, why don't you do this? Okay, it does do it. Padding 4. Give a little bit of breathing room on the axis. Do a little bit of it here. I want to do it on the other one. Dev px4. Yeah. This actually is kind of cool. Let me quickly get rid of these other bars. So future menu demo. I'm gonna get rid of the other content for a second. I'll just comment it out. So this is the menu bar. Let's see. And actually, I might live tweet it. Like, why the hell not live tweet something while we're on the show? May as well. So, experimenting with some navigation for Samui builds. Foolish bearish. I don't think this is the way to put it, so I'm not going to tweet it right now. I'm going to think a few more seconds on how to do it. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out. So I'm going to undo these two changes. So I'm just going to ship this as usual in a separate branch. And I'm going to call this top navigation or menu bar. And then do a commit here and going to say feature It's actually inside dev right now, and this is experiment with a top-level menu bar. And then I'm going to push this up, create a pull request, and then I'm going to call it a day. It's 2 p.m. It's one of the earlier streams I did this week, and it would be nice to get into bed before like 4:30. Or yesterday it was like 6 p.m., 6 a.m. So gonna go here. Gonna be creating pull requests straight away from the terminal, and that'll be it. For those of you watching, hope everybody loved the show, and see you all next time. Bye bye.